Hello, hello, hello. And welcome back to what can only be described as a world of pain today here on the Circus of Safety. Firstly, before I even introduce my co hosts, I just want to apologize. I'd kind of made a post on LinkedIn potentially suggesting Brooke Van Velden would turn up on our special show, but it appears that no. So welcome back, Andy Evans. How are you today, sir?
Very well, Brenton. Yourself?
Mate, I tell you, the pre-show amble was should have been recorded. Is all I've got to say. The pre-show amble was has made my week. Actually, has made my week. What have you been up to, mate?
Oh, bit of this, bit of that. Writing a few documents, trying to get my head around overlapping duties,
Nice.
and spending a significant amount of time studying the health and safety reform bill.
Well, so there's another thing that I've probably got to
Fess up.
come clean about. I haven't read it. So I'm glad somebody has on the show. But talking about somebody that would have read the health and safety amendment bill, Des Link, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm going all right. Thanks very much. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Good. What have you been up to over the last couple of weeks?
It's kind of an unremarkable couple of weeks, if I must say. But
as in unremarkable, as in not very good. Like nothing happening, nothing of any significance.
Busy with kind of nothing, no stories to tell.
Wow.
How about you? What's your last fortnight been like?
Mate, listen, I set the bar very low, to be fair. So me getting out of bed is an achievement in its own right. And yeah, I've had an eventful week, a fortnight. I've got up 14 days of the 14,
Wow.
and I've put my feet on terra firma. So pretty stoked with that, to be fair. Pretty stoked.
Very
But
good.
thank you for asking. Now, have you read the amendment bill?
Yeah.
Are you as excited as Andy is about it?
Well, it's not law yet, and it's still got
Well, don't give away the whole show. I will ask you about that because you are a resident lawyer. So yeah, but okay. So that's cool. So you're as per normal on the fence about this. Is that a fair statement?
It's interesting, but it's not anything that we have to deal with just yet.
Yeah, interesting. Let's
No,
hold that
that's not quite right. I mean, I think we're clearly duty bound to deal with it. I mean, there's submissions for select committee, etc. I mean,
who's in charge, guys? Andy, back in your box, please. Back in your box. Andy, before we get carried away, what is young Oliver's take on the amendment bill? Have you had a chance to sit down and brief him, discuss it, look at it, consider it?
Yeah, we've chatted about it, and he's a little bit upset by it. The quite telling question that he asked, because not only have we read the Act, we've also read the regulatory impact statements and obviously the press releases from the Beehive.
What about have you guys read all the posts identified on LinkedIn?
No.
Okay. A lot of opinion pieces.
I don't really want him to get too involved in social media at his age.
Is social media a critical risk, do you think?
Well, who knows? The question that he asked
is that on the list?
Is red tape a critical risk?
Wow. Well, it could be
I thought that was actually quite profound.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I guess we'll see where that ends up taking us. But Des, sorry, I'm that pre-show amble has got me absolutely a little bit kind of off the mark, to be fair. Hey, just out of curiosity, Des, how's book sales going, mate?
Dead. Nothing.
Nada. Zippo.
I think there might have been a couple from like libraries and educational institutions, because there's two platforms. There's Amazon and another one, Ingram Spark, and Ingram Spark's ticking over very slowly, and Amazon's flat. So there's still time enough for Valentine's Day. It's tomorrow.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
What could be more romantic than a book about safety investigations?
Now, Des, are you going to at all over the course of today's special show? So for those of you that have just joined us, today is a special show on, and I guess this is targeting our New Zealand audience, because let's not forget we are a global audience. And if you have a change to health and safety legislation in your part of the world that you'd like us to investigate, by all means, let Des or Andy know, because they're clearly bound to read it. Do you think the potential changes through the Senate bill will impact your book? Will you have to do a version 2 following the change of the bill?
Maybe not. I think the tools and techniques in the book should apply across any legislative change.
Okay.
So I think it was safe.
Okay, good to know.
Surely there's an opportunity there to do a rewrite and a relaunch and a rebrand, updated to align with. I mean, it's purely marketing, but that's what people do, isn't it?
Does that just represent another opportunity for you to sign some of the copies?
More than happy to do that. I mean,
second edition
it is interesting.
Inspired by Andy
Evans.
That
people do want my signature in this thing.
Okay, boys. Okay, let's get into it. So, Des, do you have a disclaimer for us, mate?
I do, and I just want you to indulge me for a minute or so as I'll take you back to the disclaiming retreat at the Caveat Monastery.
Wow.
Where Guru Ignatius taught us about the disclaiming element of time. We began at sunrise. There were no clocks, only vibes and a growing suspicion that lunch might never come. Guru Ignatius sat completely still for what felt like hours, possibly days. One participant aged visibly. Another began referring to himself in the past tense, and this, we discovered, represented the statute of limitations. The lesson was simple. Everything expires: motivation, memory, and warranties. Deadlines, we learned, are merely suggestions made by people who fear eternity. And we left with one enduring truth, that any information in this podcast may already be outdated, superseded, or spiritually archived. If your matter is time sensitive, please consult someone who owns a calendar and believes in it.
Wow. Thanks, Des. That was amazing. Archived. Are we already archived? Wow. That was special. Well, last thing on my agenda before we get into this, just a reminder, if you haven't already, it's not too late to grab the tickets to the 9th and 10th of March 2026 for the National Health and Safety Leaders Summit. So if you're looking for something to do on the 9th to 10th of March, you want to see some fantastic speakers, some great panelists, and engage in fantastic conversation, 9th to 10th of March 2026, National Health and Safety Leader Summit. Use the code Circus-15 to get your 15% discount. Look forward to seeing you there. It's going to be an absolute blast coming up in a couple of weeks. So today, special show in New Zealand. It hit the headlines. Well, I think it was what they call a soft drop. Is that, or soft launch? Is that how they described it? Sneakily, no hoopla until people found it. The Health and Safety Amendment Bill, proposed by the Right Honourable Brooke Van Velden. I did ask if she'd join us on the show. I figured third time's a charm. Clearly, I'm not charming enough, but that's okay. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, this bill promises apparently to refocus the purpose of HASWA to explicitly prioritise critical risk. But never fear, Andy. Andy, do not fear, because it also states that it's going to define critical risk. So
excellent.
Yeah, and apparently you got to jump to Schedule 1A, and then somebody just told me the other day this morning there's a second branch or something. So I don't know. Schedule 1A plus whatever else you feel will make the thing. It cuts apparently through the red tape. It will reduce the burden on small business. It will, it'll allow other legislation to work harmoniously with each other. And so no longer are you trying to tick the box in 3 boxes, but you can tick 1. the bit that I like the most, it allows me to go onto other people's property and do stupid things without me worrying whether they're going to be prosecuted or not. So that's fantastic. Apparently, it defines even more and gives examples. Hopefully, they've got pictures because I'm more of a picture kind of guy of some notifiable injuries and illnesses. So quite excited about that. And it creates safe harbors. Now, I didn't know the Health and Safety at Work Act got into maritime, but safe harbor from back in the day when I was a young kid was where pirates went, right, to harbor from, the police. Nonetheless, it creates safe harbors in the form of ACOPs or approved codes of practice. So looking forward to that. Maybe we could write one. Could we write an ACOP? We'd be
Absolutely could. Absolutely could.
an industry body, right, in its own right. And listen, fantastically, I've felt for these guys for a little while. That's WorkSafe. I have absolutely felt for them. And so what it's done is it also states it's going to prioritize their functions and make sure that they know what they're supposed to be doing, apparently, which will hopefully give them some relief and allow them to get into it. So there we go. That's a summary of what this new amendment bill proposes to do. So first off the mark, Andy, you've actually read this thing. Tell us all about it. What do you think?
I think it's interesting. I think it's really interesting, and in lots of ways, it's quite supportive of discussions that we've had previously. I think it affirms a lot of the discussions that we've had in some quite interesting ways.
We've had a lot of discussions, so you might need to be a little bit more specific.
I don't think I can be at this point, but in terms of the clarity around what's trying to be achieved with safety, what safety is, those key terms, key definitions, I think what it's I don't even know if there's a problem it's trying to solve, to be perfectly honest with you, if you look at it from a safety perspective. But if you do look at the whole thing from a safety perspective and try and improve safety outcomes, you end up going around in circles. And the conclusion that I've come to is that actually the way to look at this is from a political standpoint. And what we've got in front of us is the result of the political system that we've got in New Zealand. And it's completely politically motivated. And by reading through it and reading through all the documents that are linked to it, it very, very, very rarely mentions that it's trying to reduce harm.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Love where you went with that. In fact, sorry, I had a question, but I fell asleep partway through that. Whatever. Oh no, my question. That's it. It's come back to me. Were you involved in any of the definitions in the amendment bill? I mean, you are our resident definitionario. You know what I'm trying to say. Were you involved at all?
No, this is one of the interesting things, and this is what's I've been sort of hanging out for this for a while, because there were some indications that they were going to move to this concept or this idea of critical risk. It's hugely problematic. It is hugely problematic what they're trying to do here.
We'll come back to that, Andy. We'll head over to our resident lawyer now for some expert legal opinion. Des, your thoughts on the amendment bill?
It's dressed up as being a clarifying document, and maybe in some regards it achieves that, but I think in other regards it doesn't achieve that at all, and in fact makes things quite a bit more complicated. I'll give you an example of what I mean. So critical risk, for instance, an SME doesn't need to do anything unless it pertains to a critical risk in loose terms. Now every SME which is defined as a PCBU with 19 or fewer employees, those PCBUs need to be masters of understanding and applying what critical risk means. Previously, that wasn't the case.
But don't they define critical risk? I mean, there's a list, right? I mean, how much harder can it be? There's a list of them. Really? Is it that hard? Can you not just follow the list?
You can, but previously, the act was principle based and quite broad, and so you could get by with following some duties, and that they would apply equally to critical risk as they would to anything else, because principally you're doing the same activities to manage them. And I think that now that you've got this distinction, people have to master the distinction in order to apply it day to day.
Wow.
So I think that actually complicates things for SMEs rather than simplifying.
Okay, well, listen, we've got some audience feedback on the quality of our show this morning. Matthew Sagrove jumping in saying, "Get a wiggle on, boys," and let's get to the bones of this. I'll stay with you, Des. Does the suggested legislative reform strengthen safety leadership around critical risk, or does it just reinforce the ever-growing architecture of compliance, in your opinion?
The latter. It definitely, I don't see it achieving any sort of strengthening of safety leadership around critical risk.
Fantastic.
I think those that do it well currently do it well, and those that don't do it well will continue to not do it well.
Interesting, and I want to come back to that in a minute. Wow, Andy's clearly had enough of this. I mean, he wasn't contributing to the show anyway, right? Oh, there he is.
He was starting to tear up. Maybe he needed a moment to compose himself.
Andy, what do you think, mate? Will the suggested legislative reform strengthen safety leadership around critical risk, or does it reinforce the ever-growing architecture of compliance?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll move on. Matt touched. He used a very specific word in that, and Andy, I want to stick with you on this question. You probably won't know the answer, but one of the things that he says, and I'll bring up his statement again, suggested legislative reform. What does he mean by that, do you think, Andy? I mean, suggested. Is it? Does this thing not live yet? Is it not? Does it matter?
No, it's not. It's not live yet. No, it's part of a process. This is probably better to talk about what the process looks like here, in terms of. But my understanding is that the first reading of the bill went through last night. It now goes to select committee. Members of the public can provide submissions to the select committee. You might get asked to speak at the select committee. From select committee, then it goes for a second reading. Is that right, Des? And then it's passed into law. It's something like that, I think.
Yeah, more or less.
More or less. So what I would urge everybody to do is to use your democratic right and duty and get involved. If you think it's not going to achieve anything or cause more, not going to achieve its objectives, then speak up. Absolutely speak up. The point that was made there by our favourite Sadgrove, it's a very interesting question. I would sort of push back a little bit and say, if we're gonna move on and say from an effectiveness perspective, we should possibly analyse it through the lens of the three objectives that are stated in the bill. I think that would be a reasonably good starting point. So in the bill, it talks about the first thing is to reduce unnecessary compliance costs. I find that challenging.
And I've got to be honest, I'm finding listening to you challenging at the moment. Can we kind of liven it up a little bit?
So, all right, okay. Reduce unnecessary compliance costs. Okay, so I'll try to find a figure.
We've got an audience that expect things now, right?
Sorry, So the objective one is to reduce unnecessary compliance costs. Okay, so firstly, what is an unnecessary compliance cost? How do you know it's unnecessary? How many of them, and what is the value of that to the New Zealand economy? And you try and get a number and try and get some evidence for that, and there's none. It's almost impossible to get anything about that. That's even quoted in the MB regulatory impact statement. So when this legislation was first suggested, MB did a couple of regulatory impact statements, they did some gap analysis, they did some analysis of it. And in there, it's very, very light that actually there is unnecessary compliance costs. And where this came from is when the politicians travelled around the country, they spoke with businesses, and this is what businesses said. Now, I think that's a pretty weak way to change legislation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to argue differently because I think the reason you're fighting so hard against this is potentially it's going to impact the volume of snake oil that you sell. I mean, is this change not actually going to sharpen the focus? It means that you can't walk in and blow smokes and play with mirrors to sell snake oil. I mean, this isn't this going to sharpen the focus of where we should be putting our efforts?
Oh, there's a whole
And
avenue. There's a whole dark place
bring
to
you
go
out?
here. There's a whole dark place to go here.
He's
It's
threatened. Look, he's worried about it.
No, this is interesting. So when I was looking at this, I was trying to think of
how it's going to impact your cash flow.
No, not at all. I was analysing, trying to work out these figures and where this all comes from, and what is the motivation for this. And I keep coming back to this is political. A political party said in the manifesto they're going to reduce this. They became part of a coalition. Part of the coalition agreement was that they've got to do this, and they're doing it. So what they need to do now is to get this through, so that they can then go back and say, look, vote for us again. Crazily, there's an election coming up. We did what we said. We reduced legislative requirements on small businesses, and therefore small businesses will vote for them. That's it. That makes sense. Nothing else in here makes sense whatsoever.
Okay, let's go to somebody that's not going to be,
financially.
Let's go to somebody that's not going to be financially penalised by the introduction of this amendment bill. I mean, Des, do you agree? I mean, is this not going to, people like us in-house safety professionals, is this not going to help us focus in, tune in, really kind of hone our skill on those specific things?
Not particularly, and I've been thinking a lot about what's the practical impact of these things, and I made the point earlier of this complicating things more for SMEs in the sense that they need to now master the definition of critical risk in order to exclude themselves and manage that. That's an extra cognitive step that SMEs need to take that they didn't need to previously. And so I think that in practical terms, it hasn't reduced the compliance cost.
Yeah, but see, I think this is where you guys are looking at this all wrong. I mean, they've given us a freaking list, right? There's now a list
Have you
stuff.
read the list?
Well, that's irrelevant right now, okay? They've given us a freaking list. Now, somebody told me, what schedule was it again?
Schedule 1.
1A.
1A. What do you mean 1A? Schedule 1. Oh, there we go. Is it the next one? Oh, here we go. Okay. So listen, if I'm an SME, right? It's not that hard, Des. Stop overanalyzing this. All I've got to do is go to Schedule 1A and read the list, right? And if it's on the list, it's on the list. If it's not on the list, it's not on the list. How hard is it? I mean, adventure activities, boom, there we go. It's on the list. Amusement devices, it's on the list. Asbestos, it's on the list. I mean, it's not that... sorry. This goes again. Okay, hang on.
Keep going. No, keep going. Don't stop. Keep going. Please.
General risk and workplace management.
Yeah, that's a critical risk.
Listen, you, Mr. Andy Evans, constantly want definitions, right? Now you finally got one. All you're doing is criticizing a person that was prepared to put it on the line and say, this is what a hazard is, right? I mean, does it matter that it's maybe wrong, incorrect, goes against everything we've ever known? I mean, is that really the point here? Or, I mean, the fact there's a list, mate, surely this makes it easier for us.
No, it doesn't. I think it makes it more confusing.
Well, all I was going to do is print off the list.
It really highlights the problem that should be being addressed by this if this was about improving safety.
Well,
definitions.
Yeah.
So we're saying it's not going to...
Nah. It's going to make it more confusing and complicated.
But I mean, all they've got to do is print out the list, right? Put it on their desk and go, do I have these things? Yes or no? And if they don't, then they don't need to worry about them, right? Surely. Whereas at the moment, aren't small business owners kind of sitting there, shivering, quivering in their boots, crawling under their desks, having psychosocial issues because they're worried about the big boogeyman coming to scare them because they might have missed something? I mean, at least now there's a list, right?
I think that you've highlighted the problem there is that the reality is they shouldn't be scared of work safe. They should be scared of killing a worker.
Well, there we go. Des, you were going to say something before Andy rudely interrupted you.
Well, there's two aspects to the to the definition, there's the list that you just referred to, and then there's also another aspect, which is anything that's likely to cause serious injury, death, et cetera, et cetera. So then that could link in just about anything.
So hang on. So what you're telling me is potentially we've just gone all the way back to the start, where pretty much anything and everything that could kill you, and depending on whose definition of or how you assess things and yada yada yada, anything can kill you.
Yeah, because it's anything that's likely. So if there's a reasonable case to be made that something could have caused serious injury or killed someone, so that could be a slip on the floor. That,
wow,
maybe it's a person lands incorrectly. That's now becomes a critical risk.
Okay, I got to be honest now. It's not often that I agree with this individual, and I often feel that this individual is incredibly incorrect in their statements. Many of them, in fact. But a fantastic comment here from Robert Macaulay. Instead of critical risk, why not critical hazards to the business? And I like that. I mean. Yeah, I do. I'm a big fan of that, and yeah, maybe they missed that opportunity. So why are we focusing on all these other things when we could just ask them to change the word, right? Like, surely they could go Alt F, find, edit, replace, risk with hazard. It's not that big a deal, really. I mean, what would your take be on that, Andy? If they said focus on critical hazards versus critical risks, would you have been happier?
I would have been a little bit happier, but effectively that's what we did in 92. So we had significant hazards that could lead to serious harm. Now that's actually a more correct terminology. Like critical risk, the definition they've come up with, I don't really want to read it and analyze it, but it's problematic because it talks about critical risk is a risk that is related to a hazard that can cause serious harm. Now there's a bit of a cop out there because
could you just get a move on? Mike Cosman is asking
defined.
us for advice here for a minute. So Mike Cosman has come to us for advice.
Hazard isn't effectively defined, so it's hugely problematic.
Okay,
it's garbage.
Well, okay. Well, let's just jump to this. I can't believe this. We've made it big time, boys. So Mike Cosman, guru of safety here in New Zealand. He's come to us with this fantastic question, and I think I know the answer, Mike. So stand by. I hope you're sitting down for this because I'm just scrolling the list now. Would we, according to the list, well, I guess what's critical, I would suggest maybe asbestos. I don't actually know what general risk and workplace management is, so I can't confer or deny. I guess if you were building a geothermal park, maybe that one would tick the box. Hazardous substances is on the list. Not sure what miscellaneous hazards regulated by health and safety employment regulations are, so that could be interesting. Woodworking, there we go. That's a bit of interesting. Some scaffolding, working. Mike, apparently everything in construction is critical, according to this list, actually. So we'll move on. Thank you for your time. Mike, Matthew, jumping back in. I'm not sure the list solves anything. Oh, Matthew, you and I were friends until this point. In sectors like, this is incredibly selfish of Matthew because he's in the utility sector. Electric distribution, my backyard. Risk cannot be eliminated, only managed. So what new clarity does the reform give those sectors moving forward? I thought the whole point was to help SMEs and not big business. So I guess if you're a big business, suck it up. If you're an SME, a bit of relief maybe. Des, what's your take on that? Oh, look, Andy's fuming.
It probably doesn't change much for large sectors like construction and utilities and large businesses and organizations. It doesn't change much at all, I don't think, for that, at least not in my reading of it. And further to Mike's question, what risks in construction are critical based on the list? The list is actually far expanded beyond that because there's also things that are likely to result in serious harm, death, which is maybe how we defined things previously, but it also makes it really unclear what is going to be considered by the Act to be critical risk, and that's going to be a case-by-case basis. So the complication's still there. We haven't made it simpler.
And that's Mike's second point there, right? Likely is a very high and subjective bar. So I'm
So can we? Are you going to move to me now? Well, this is a beautiful segue
Mate,
into
when we do the show
objective
analysis,
number 2. I'm just trying to have some structure here. Into objective number 2, which is increase certainty for businesses and organisations and what they need to do. And I think from the conversation we've just had, it's not going to do that. It's not going to increase certainty.
Okay.
It's going to increase uncertainty. And if we go with the definition of risk, which the legislation doesn't have, let's pick one, ISO 31000, the effect of uncertainty on objectives. This is going to increase uncertainty, therefore it's going to increase risk for business. It's mental.
Okay, so I know I'm a simpleton, right? And I know I keep going back to the lowest common denominator here. But from what I can gather, what difference is that? Why all the hoopla when, to be fair, this is making absolutely no difference to anything, because all it's going to do, and this is where ACT are going to kind of fall over on their own face, right? All it's going to be doing is it's going to be setting up a false precedent for SMEs, right? Because the reality is, from what I'm gathering, there's nothing actually changing here, right? Nothing fundamentally is changing. The confusion's still there. The ambiguity's still there. So, Andy, your consulting career is about to take off, mate. I hope you got enough staff to cope with it. But let's move on. ACOPs, safe harbors, where pirates go, me mateys. I mean, we touched on this earlier in the show. I am also conscious of time, boys. We touched on this earlier in the show. We can go write an ACOP on the production of podcasts. I mean, what are your thoughts on the use of ACOPs to help define, I guess, what's reasonably practicable?
I think even the best drafted ACOP is not going to be able to cater to every nuance of reality when things become operational, and strict focus and adherence to an ACOP distracts us from managing safety as it's happening. And I think that might be that might have bad consequences.
But, okay, fair call. Andy, your thoughts?
I think it's interesting. I wonder if there's a bigger thing happening here, and that this is maybe a step towards moving away from the Robins concept that's worked in safety for so long, which is where we've moved away from having a ton of regulations to tell people what you must do, what you mustn't do, what you must do, to in the early 70s there in the UK, when they moved after the Robins report, where they moved to this idea that it's non-prescriptive legislation. Now, if we're going to start to have loads of ACOPs that is effectively a safe harbour, then aren't we effectively moving slowly back to that regulation driven? And no, I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if it is. And I think if you look at New Zealand's safety record, it's not brilliant. And if you look at it at other comparable countries, it's not brilliant. The countries that have adopted the Robins approach have tended to show significant improvement in safety performance, and have gone way beyond what New Zealand's managed. I think it would be a bit rich for New Zealand to move to a sort of a post-Robins approach without fully appreciating or fully using that approach to its maximum extent.
Well, that was a lot. Fair enough, and that's a good call out, I guess. I'm going to come to some more statistics shortly, but Andy, I'm just trying to get you some business. Matthew Sagrove's come back to Matthew is going hard this morning. We use SMEs every day as partners in customer work delivery. We need to support them. How do we do that without clarity or appropriate definitions? Matthew Sagrove, pick up the phone, call Andrew Evans, 0800 Snake Oil, and he will help you support those small organizations for a small but exorbitant fee.
Well, he's touching on something really important there, which is how overlapping duties sits here.
Oh, we're going to come
to that. Because if you've got... Oh, sorry.
Who's in charge of the show? But just going back to a man of some intelligence, 25% of workers, according to Mike Osmond, will have less protection based on the size of the firm they work for.
Which is completely unethical. Because of the size of the firm that you work on, you are safer or less safe, even if you are doing the identical job. And that is just fundamentally wrong.
Well, I tell you, because I haven't read anything on this, because I just really don't care, to be fair, and I can't see how this fundamentally changes the confusion that we currently have and out there in the world. But where did we come up with that number? Where did the 25% come from? Is that one of those regulatory impact statements, Andy?
No, it's the well, I think it's linked to that, but it's the number of people employed in New Zealand in small businesses. I think it's
Okay.
about 25%. So that, and if you're in a small business, then you don't need to have as much protection. This is what this bill said.
Oh, well, so the fact that we're technically not even a small business, because we're not actually technically a business, we're okay then.
Well, there's a whole question there about whether we're a PCBU or not.
Oh, God. Okay. Anyway.
I think this might have some flow-on practical implications of following on from Mike's point, because ACC spends the most amount of money. And for those listening overseas, ACC is the nationalised workers' compensation insurer, in a nutshell. But the biggest cost to ACC is musculoskeletal injuries, back and neck, slip, strips, falls, related type stuff. And this, for 25% of workers, there's no longer any incentive for the SMEs to try and manage that. So I think it would be reasonable to expect an increase in the costs of injuries arising from those types of activities.
Yeah, and that's touched on in the regular impact statement, Des. I don't think that the ACC are a huge fan of this.
Can I be controversial?
Go on. We've never stopped you in the past.
You've never stopped me. Okay, so just put up my own little disclaimer, because what I'm about to say doesn't reflect. I'm asking the question because a good argument should have two sides, right? Andy, I'm pretty sure on one show we did a few shows back. Oh, well, no, it was with Matthew Sagrove, actually, because you weren't here, so Matthew stepped in, but it was your topic that landed. And we ended up talking about, is safety in New Zealand just what safety is, in terms of, do we just need to accept that we are what we are? Now, the fact that it's been identified that 25% of workers, as per, I'm just going to jump back to that chat comment, 25% of workers will have less protection based on the size of the firm they work for. I mean, is that not almost just going, well, we're going to accept a certain level of risk? I mean, and is that really a problem, accepting a certain amount of risk? Really, I mean, because you can't eliminate everything, right? We know this, we understand this in concept, but the fact that somebody's now put a number on it and it's made it real, is that really a problem? Or are we just now scared that the fact that we need to acknowledge that the reality is we can't control everything, and 25% of workers will have less protection, and someone has actually put that number on
it? It's an interesting point.
Thank you.
You make. I don't think it's necessarily quite right. There's always a cut-off point at some point, right? So it costs benefits. So there's always a trade-off. So at the moment, we've got 100% protection, because that's what the Act says. All risks to health must be managed.
But do we? Do we have 100% protection?
Just say the legal obligation is effectively yes, right? There's 100%, right? It's all risks to health and safety must be eliminated. That's fundamentally what it is. This is moving a little bit. This is carving out a little bit of that.
But is it really? Like,
as Mike indicated,
25%
of people are more likely to get injured, not necessarily killed. There's a whole debate there, but they're going to be less safe at work. Now, what's the benefit of that? And this is the crux of this argument, is that 25% of the population, or the working population, are going to be less safe. What is the benefit? That's the cost. What is the benefit of it? And objective one here is the benefit is to reduce unnecessary compliance costs. Is that a trade-off that New Zealand is happy to do? That we do a little bit less paperwork, but 25% people are more injury prone?
I'm going to wrap this up.
That's fundamentally what the question's asking.
With another controversial statement, but I would suggest that the public is, because we voted this government in.
Absolutely.
And they are following the mandate that they believe they've been given. Now, gentlemen, I'm going to also break protocol here. I'm going to make an executive decision. We've run out of time. I don't have time to continue on. I think this is deserving of part 2 in our next show. I've got a list of stuff that I still want to cover off, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. The chat on the LinkedIn feed is fantastic. I'm thinking next in a fortnight, we're back here finishing this debate and this discussion. Do I have an impromptu agreement from you all? Great. Andy, what are you up to for the next couple of weeks?
I'm putting together a submission.
Do you want me to send you the transcript and you can just download it and put it into ChatGPT?
Yeah, let's just do that. No, I'm going to. For once in my life, I'm going to actually get off my backside and see if I can make change.
I'm going to be incredibly cynical and say, mate, it's not going to have any impact whatsoever. And I can actually see how this law changes or this bill changes what we're doing already. So good luck with that. And I wish you all the best. Des, what are you up to over the next couple of weeks? Are you going to be joining Andy and putting a submission together?
Probably not. I need to understand it better. I think I'll need to read it more. But I wouldn't be against doing sort of an extraordinary show, not on our normal schedule, a bit earlier than 2 weeks.
Sure. You'd have to do that without me, because I'm pretty. I'm in Brisbane next week, so I'm not sure when we'd fit that in. But just the last comment.
I think Brenton just gave us permission to do a show without him.
It won't be the same, you know that.
And I think it was his idea.
If you can work the technology, go for it. Andy Westgate, in line with the joint PCBUs, there will be some confusion created where an SME with less than 19 workers is engaged by a tier 1 construction company to complete work. SME only has to manage critical risks and nothing else. However, the tier 1 company will, and there's a whole bunch more there.
That's spot on. That is absolutely spot on.
But again,
I want to talk one perspective, because if you understand that some of your duties arise out of legislation and some of your duties arise out of the contracts that your organization enters into, that's not confusing.
And where's the moral? We've totally lost track of the moral obligation here, people. So let our morals guide us. Let our morals guide us forward. Nonetheless, I've got a busy couple of weeks. I'll be doing absolutely nothing in the two-wheeler safety. I'll be heading over to Brisbane to the Oceania BMX Championships in Brisbane on Tuesday. So if anyone's in Brisbane and wants to catch up for a pint or a coffee, feel free to reach out. It'd be great to meet up with some of our listeners over in the beautiful state of Queensland. Listen, as always, and we probably need to apologise to Robin Chapman. I'm not sure, Robin, what you were expecting when you became our latest follower. Hopefully this was it. And if this was it, you might need to seek some professional guidance. But thank you, Robin Chapman, for joining us in the family of the Circus of Safety. Again, a quick reminder, 9th to 10th of March, where I'm sure this topic will be raging at the coffee breaks around the snacks at the National Health and Safety Leaders Summit, 9th to 10th of March in Auckland. Circus-15 if you want your 15% discount. So get in there and make sure that you book. Look forward to seeing you there. Come have a chat at the stand that we'll have during the breaks. Happy to continue this conversation on. So I guess, team, until then, we will figure out how we're going to deal with this. Take care, have fun, and see you soon.
See you soon.
See ya. Bye.
It's not ended. I'm having technical difficulties. We've come back live. It won't stop. We're back live. Don't say anything that you don't want controversially said on air. Why won't it end? My button won't click. Okay, just I've got to figure out how to stop this, gentlemen. You go, have a good day. I will take care of this. Hopefully that does it. Oh, this is awkward. It won't end. It won't end. Why won't it end?
Are we back for an encore? Is that what this is?
Oh my God. This is, why won't it end? Okay, I'm going to try something. Leave.
No, it's just me and you, Des. Oh,
But we're still live. What's he done?
oh my goodness. Yeah, but at least we can have a decent conversation.
We didn't get to talk about
No.
our psychosocial example.
I know.
Oh, it's still live, boys. Oh,